Most people know bees dance to communicate where patches of flowers are, but very few people realize how advanced that communication system actually is. Bees do not navigate using only one sense. They combine multiple systems at once: vision, sunlight, polarized light, scent, memory, landmarks, vibration, and possibly even Earth's magnetic field. For such tiny animals, their ability to move through the landscape is surprisingly sophisticated. And yes, the famous wiggle dance is real. Scientists have studied it for decades, and it is remarkably precise. Inside the dark interior of a hive, a returning forager bee performs a repeated movement pattern across the comb. The bee vibrates, waggles its abdomen, and moves in a figure-8 pattern over and over again. The angle of the dance communicates direction. If the bee moves straight upward on the comb, it means fly toward the sun. If the dance shifts to the left or right, it means fly left or right of the sun by that same angle. The length of the wiggle communicates distance. A longer wiggle means the food source is farther away, and the excitement of the dance communicates quality. A highly energetic dance often means the flower patch is especially productive. The strangest part is that this communication happens mostly in darkness. Other bees physically touch the dancer using their antennae and bodies to gather the information. Much of the communication is based on vibration and movement rather than sight. But the wiggle dance is only one part of the system. Bees also navigate using the sky itself. Even when clouds block direct sunlight, bees can still estimate the sun's location because they detect polarized light patterns humans cannot naturally see. These patterns shift depending on the position of the sun. In a sense, bees carry a built-in celestial compass. Researchers have also discovered that bees build mental maps of their environment. They remember landmarks, flower locations, color patterns, scent trails, and efficient travel routes between feeding areas. This is part of why bees often appear to do laps around flower patches or sunflower gardens. They are not wandering randomly. They are checking remembered routes and revisiting known food stations to see which flowers have refilled overnight. Some studies even suggest bees can optimize travel paths between flowers in ways similar to solving mathematical route planning problems. And there may be another navigation layer involved as well. Scientists have found evidence that bees can detect Earth's magnetic field. Tiny magnetite particles have been discovered inside some bees, and experiments suggest magnetic sensitivity may help them orient themselves during navigation. It probably does not function as their primary system the way it does for some migratory birds, but it may act as a backup compass or orientation tool layered on top of their other senses. The relationship between bees and flowers is also more interactive than most people realize. Flowers evolved colors, scents, bloom timing, landing structures, and ultraviolet nectar guides specifically to attract pollinators. Meanwhile, bees learn which flowers refill quickly, which shapes contain nectar, and what times certain plants become productive. Over time, the plant and the pollinator begin synchronizing with each other. Sunflowers are a perfect example. Their florets open gradually in rings over multiple days. Bees learn this timing and repeatedly return to check for newly opened flowers. The plant changes its behavior over time. The bees respond to those changes. And together they create a kind of living feedback system. One of the most fascinating questions is whether bees remember information across generations. The answer depends on the kind of bee. Honeybee colonies survive through winter, allowing some continuity within the hive. But bumblebees are different. Most bumblebee colonies die each autumn. Usually only new queens survive winter hibernation. In spring, each queen wakes up alone, finds food, builds a nest, and starts an entirely new colony from scratch. So in one sense, much of the colony's experience disappears every year. But evolution preserved important instincts across generations. Bees inherit foraging behaviors, flower preferences, navigation abilities, seasonal timing, and responses to environmental cues. And landscapes themselves hold memory too. Flower corridors, nesting areas, and productive feeding grounds often remain stable across years, allowing new queens to rediscover many of the same habitats their ancestors used before them. This is one reason habitat continuity matters so much. When flowering systems disappear, native plants are removed, or seasonal timing changes rapidly, pollinators lose the environmental patterns they evolved alongside. And unlike humans, they cannot redesign the world around them. They can only respond to it. Honestly, one of the strangest things about bees is that no single bee understands the entire system. Yet together, thousands of tiny insects create something that behaves almost like a distributed intelligence moving through the landscape. A bee may look small, but the world it experiences is far more complex than most people ever notice.